Good morning and welcome to the Tuesday, August 3rd edition of Let It Be Known. Tay Sweat was never supposed to be rich. In fact, the 32-year-old from East Nashville, Tennessee was arguably set up to fail in life. Growing up with a single mom on welfare, Sweat got his first job at a grocery fulfillment center. But after losing that job, his home, and his car, he knew something had to change. He did just that, and now he runs an eight-figure business. That's when Sweat, a regular guy with no background in finance, started tirelessly studying the stock market. He invested in a coach, read one book a week, and saved 100% of his income until he could invest, starting with penny stocks. Today, a fantastic Monday afternoon for Sweat could mean $250,000 in a single day of stock profits, which prompted 1.5 million followers on social media and many wondering, how does he do it? Well, we're going to talk to Tay Sweat this morning and find out just how does he do it. But first, of course, it's time for the news, and there's lots of news this morning. We begin with an important update on vaccinated individuals and the coronavirus. Breakthrough cases, hospitalizations, and deaths are extremely rare, even among those who are fully vaccinated against COVID-19, according to a new study released on Monday. The nonprofit Kaiser Family Foundation is the author of the report, and they said the rate of breakthrough cases reported among those fully vaccinated is well below 1% in all reported states, ranging from 0.001% in Connecticut to 0.90% in Oklahoma. The rate of breakthrough cases in the District of Columbia is at 0.004%. Also, the hospitalization rate among fully vaccinated people with COVID-19 ranged from effectively 0 to 0.006. So the bottom line here is that people really should consider vaccination. Also in the news, the Biden-Harris administration announced the appointment of Marcus T. Coleman as the director of the Department of Homeland Security Center for Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. According to a news release, Coleman, a Howard University graduate, leads at the intersection of religious affairs, community capacity building, public-private partnerships, and crisis management to help people before, during, and after disasters. His experience in the private sector includes serving as co-lead for the behavioral science and communications practice at HWC Incorporated. Also, House and Senate Democrats are looking to the White House to immediately act to stop evictions after the federal moratorium expired on July 31st. But President Joe Biden said a recent Supreme Court ruling means the administration cannot unilaterally extend the moratorium. For his part, the president has called on state and local governments to resolve the problem. The White House said the American Rescue Plan provided $47 billion in rental assistance earlier this year, but states and localities have used just $3 billion of that. Congress is still asking the president to do something, and the president is saying that states and local municipalities have the cash. They have it from the American Rescue Plan, and that they should use those funds. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Congresswoman Maxine Waters have written a letter to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. It is the CDC that has the power to extend an eviction moratorium, or had the power until the Supreme Court stepped in. Congresswoman Maxine Waters says putting people on the streets contributes to the spread of the virus, and it's unacceptable. So we will continue to monitor that situation. This eviction moratorium that ended on Saturday, and now putting, as Congresswoman Maxine Waters said, 11 million people in jeopardy. We have to continue to monitor that here at the Black Press of America. Now we'll bring on the president and CEO of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, Dr. Ben Chavis. Good morning, Dr. Chavis.
Good morning, Stacy. On behalf of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, Karen Carter Richards, our distinguished chair, representing 230 African-American owned newspapers and media companies all over America. We're pleased once again to be a part of Let It Be Known.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dr. Tavis, in the news also, President Biden and Senate Democrats are putting judges on federal trial and appellate courts at a much faster clip than any of the president's recent predecessors, including former President Donald Trump. 8 judges already have been confirmed, including potential Supreme Court pick Ketanji Brown Jackson to the Federal Appeals Court in Washington. And more than 30 other judicial nominations are pending for more than 100 openings. By this time, 4 years ago, the Senate, then under Republican control, had confirmed 4 Trump nominees, including Justice Neil Gorsuch. But in 1993 and 2009, the start of the last 2 Democratic administrations, no judges had been confirmed by the end of July. The last 2 Democratic presidents, Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, were slow to move judicial nominations, but they both had early time consuming Supreme Court vacancies to deal with. President Biden has put forward so far more diverse racially by gender and legal experience than were Trump's picks, who were overwhelmingly white and male. So, Dr. Chavis, President Biden is trying to correct something that's been a problem the last 4 years, filling those vacancies with qualified people of color and women.
Absolutely. And keep in mind, Stacey, these are lifetime appointments to the federal bench. So these judicial appointments not only have contemporary impact for distant future, many years and decades into the future. That's why these judicial appointments are so important. And the Biden-Harris administration, we salute them because of all administrations, they're doing more to ensure that people of color are treated fairly in the judicial system, to the extent to which people of color are the judges. You know, it's very, very important at the appellate level and even hopefully a more diverse Supreme Court during the Biden-Harris administration.
Yeah, David Youngblood says, I want a judge confirmed each and every single day. I'm sure the president probably feels that way too. I want to say good morning to everyone watching on Facebook, on YouTube, and Twitter, and any other platform you've chosen to join us this morning. We also want to say good morning to our special guest, Tay Sweat. Good morning, Tay Sweat.
Good morning, everyone. How are you?
Good to have you with us. This young man, folks, is amazing, has an amazing story. As we said at the top, here's somebody who was never supposed to be wealthy. He was never supposed to make it, but he did. Tay, I'm going to let you take it from there. Tell our viewers just what your story is, how you were able to turn Wall Street into your own personal playground.
Thanks for having me once again. So kind of like we explained, backstage, I started my own business at a very young age. I've always been entrepreneur minded. And what I come to realize is that as an entrepreneur, we tend to have to take customers sometimes that we don't want to take on, right? And I kind of got tired of doing that. So as the outspoken type of young man I am, I said, listen, I have to find a way to make money, build money for myself without having to take on some certain clients that I just don't want to work with. And that's where the stock market came in. So I started taking a lot of my funds from my business and really just went into the stock market, reading books, coaches, hiring coaches. And before you know it, I haven't really caught on to the stock market. So it's been very well for me.
And Tay, we talked about this too, or I mentioned it in the opening. You decided at some point you was going to save every penny, but not only are you going to save your money, but you were also going to study. Talk about that aspect of studying the market, studying Wall Street, studying how to invest. Talk about what motivated you and how'd you do it?
Absolutely. So for what I've seen in my community, we tend to spend a lot of things that are not in our budget. We like nice shoes, things like that. So I decided to kind of do the opposite. And, I had roommates. I just made sure that literally anything I could do to save money, I would, so I could reinvest it into myself, my mind, my business to really grow. So what I did from there is every penny that I had, I literally just threw it into coaches, books, seminars, all of that good stuff, right? And over time, as I started to learn the stock market and really got acclimated to the whole world, I knew where to study. I knew where to go and find certain, news about Bitcoin. I saw someone just ask about Bitcoin, which I love Bitcoin. And that for me has been a game changer, knowing where to look, because that's the hardest part. So YouTube can be a really good thing, a really good resource for people wanting to just learn about the stock market or even look for news that's going on in the world. And also just finding your favorite, because there are a lot of us, find your favorite teacher on this thing, right? So I teach about the stock market and I help people who want to learn the stock market. So it's been really great just teaching others how to navigate this world.
Yeah, and Tay, talk about, you started with penny stocks. Talk about penny stocks, why those are important.
So for me, penny stocks for me started as just it was a budget thing. It's like, hey, I don't have a lot of money. I have 300, 400 bucks, or I don't want to put in a lot of money. Let me say that I had money saved, but when you have a lot of hard work saved in the bank, you don't want to be, careless with it. So for me, I started with penny stocks because you can buy a failing company or a company that maybe just got started for 50 cents, a dollar, $2, $3. And when these stocks go up 50 cents, you can make pretty good money. But honestly, what I noticed is that this was a good start for just kind of having exposure to the market and kind of learning how it works. But ultimately, what I ended up doing is going into the larger cap world, which is where we get into Amazon and Tesla and the bigger stocks. And the reason why that was important is because, kind of like I mentioned earlier, your penny stocks are usually failing companies that are going bankrupt. So the risk is much higher. You go into the larger cap world, Amazon, Tesla, things like that. These companies aren't going anywhere anytime soon. So it's a lot less riskier, if you will. So that is definitely one of the reasons why I kind of graduated to that level, and why I also teach people to, take a look and maybe consider coming to the larger cap world with Amazon and Teslas and those bigger companies.
Yeah, Dr. Chavez, it's really fascinating to hear a young person of color talk about investing in the stock market. I'm going to throw it over to you because I know you have a lot of thoughts on this.
Well, I certainly want to salute Tay for your leadership in the financial services sector, as well as the stock market. You're right. One of my close friends was the first Black billionaire, Reginald F. Lewis, TLC Beatrice. I'm sure you're familiar with him. And he learned the stock market also and started his own company and did the largest leverage buyout in history back in the 1980s, early 80s, late, actually it was in the 1970s when he pulled that off. But and I think for some reason they don't teach financial literacy in a lot of our educational communities. So is there a website that people can educate themselves about financial services, particularly the stock market, investing, and getting a return on your investment?
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Chavez. That's a great question. So for me, absolutely, you definitely have to have some form of education component to this thing. I saw someone ask about penny stocks just earlier and how to find them, right? One of the best places where you can go to learn about investing and really just kind of learn the nomenclature or the definitions of a lot of these words is investopedia.com, right? This is a place where if you don't understand what's being said, if you're watching CNBC and they're saying some stuff that may be over your head, right? Go to Investopedia and literally just start learning terms, learning what it is to mean, what's a stock? What is, a stock chart? What is it for? A stock chart will teach you, once you know how to read it, of course, where the stock is going. Is it cheap? Is it expensive? Should you buy now? How long should you hold it? Et cetera, et cetera. So this is a really good place to start, Investopedia. Of course, you can follow me. I give out a lot of free information. Starting probably next week, I'm also going to open up a Facebook group totally free so that I can just start teaching people a lot more about how to invest, what to invest, where to look, how to find, great companies, what's cheap, what's expensive, etc. So definitely look at, following me on Instagram at Tay Sweat, and I'll make sure I continue to get as much information out as possible. And I do answer my DMs even at 1 million followers. So if you have a question, just ask, and I promise I'll get to you eventually.
And Tay, our executive administrator, Claudette Perry, is also asking for you to explain slices of larger companies. She says she's learning about these slices of larger companies.
Absolutely. So you have some platforms that actually is growing now. A lot of platforms are doing fractional shares, right? So let's just say, for example, if Amazon is $3,300 plus dollars, and you don't have $3,300, but you want to invest in Amazon, yes, you can actually, give them $20 and have a fractional share of Amazon. So you still own that company, which I love. I absolutely love. If this is one of your strategies, because there are many strategies in the stock market. I actually trade for income. So I'm in and out of the market every day, every week, maybe even every month. It's called swing trading. But for those people who want to go in and say, hey, maybe I want to own a fraction of Amazon or Tesla or Apple, because we all have iPhones, right? If you want to own these companies, then of course you can grab a fractional share and hold those companies for 10 plus years. And usually these high quality companies, they usually go up in price or in value. So you end up making money over the years.
And Tay, talk about, if you will, dividends. How important is it that a company offers dividends?
Mm-hmm. Great question, Stacy. So a lot of companies do offer dividends, and if you are, once again, that's a different strategy. So you can be a dividend investor, you can be a growth investor where you're looking for a stock that maybe it's just going to take off, or you can be a trader, which is what I do. The dividends are really amazing because this allows you to have cash flow. For those people who may not be familiar with cash flow, it's similar to real estate. If you have a piece of real estate that has a tenant that pays you every month, this is essentially what cash flow is, and this is what happens with dividend stocks. So Verizon is a dividend stock. We'll see other dividend stocks such as AT&T. These companies, as long as you hold them, they will pay you every quarter, and even some may even do every month. They'll pay you a kickback for just owning that company.
That's pretty good to know. Also, again, from our executive administrator, Claudette Perry, she says, do you have any thoughts on how long to hold on to Apple stock? She says they've been up for years, but will it last? They've been down a lot lately.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things that I tell a lot of people is that I will not suggest anything that you buy. Okay, I will not do that. And the reason why is because if it goes great, I don't want you saying, well, hey, keep giving me things. Or if it goes wrong, I don't want to say, hey, that guy told me to go in, right? I want my people, and seriously though, I really want my people to learn how to fish versus being received a fish, right? Like, I don't want to give you the fish. I want to teach you how to fish. So you can see, and I agree, Apple has been up a long time, and I do not think it is going to sustain that level for long. It will take a dip. Now, when the dip comes, I'll be honest, I do think it'll be a good buying opportunity. But right now, I do not suggest, although I said I wouldn't do it, but I don't suggest buying Apple.
You did it. Tay, we're talking to Tay Sweat this morning. Really, really great information. It's great to see, again, you hate to say it this way, but a young Black man making a difference on Wall Street. He's trading. He's giving some great advice. But Tay, also, when you're just the basics on what you look for, what a person, I should say, should look for when they go to invest, particularly if they are first time or a new investor.
Absolutely. So a few rules that I have. Number one, please do not chase. And what that basically means is when we see a stock go up, we've had the phenomenon of the meme stocks, right? AMC, we've seen GameStop run up. And what tends to happen for a novice or a beginner investor is they chase these stocks and they go, hey, it's up, I'm grabbing it. This is what we call buying high and expecting to sell higher. We don't want to do that, right? We want to buy low and sell high. So for me, that's the number one thing is do not chase stocks. If it's already up, you just missed the boat. That's okay. All right. We'll wait for the next opportunity. Number two is education. One of my key lines that I tell my group of students is the more you learn, the more you earn. If you don't know a lot, you can't expect to make a lot from this market. So, and essentially what I like to tell a lot of people is that this is an exchange between people who are not as patient and not as educated in the market. So if you come in and you don't have a lot of education, then you may be giving your money over to someone who has the education. So definitely take your education seriously. And my final one that I always recommend is discipline. We have to be disciplined when it comes to the stock market, because it's going to require you to, sometimes you have to ride out a bad wave that the market may be going through. You're going to take some losses sometimes, so it's going to show red on your screen. But if you're disciplined enough and you have the education to know that what you saw initially when you got into the stock is still true, that discipline will allow you to ride that wave and you'll end up being profitable.
And Ted, another question, mutual funds. Talk about, if you will, mutual funds. Are they good investments? How do they work?
They can be great investments. Absolutely. Mutual funds can be great investments. Once again, this depends on what's your time, commitment that you want to put into the market. If you don't want to, put a lot of time and effort into it, mutual fund can be great. Now, the returns will not be as great as if you were to put more time into it. The more time you put in, the more money you can make. That's my favorite part, right? Yeah. So mutual funds can be great, but once again, if you get into these, they're more passive. They're a lot less in return. I've seen a lot of indexes as well. So you can get into index funds, mutual funds. They even have what's called ETFs. So these things are there for people who just kind of want to say, hey, here's my money. Just do your thing, right? Me personally, I like to be a little more hands-on because it allows me to make a much higher return. So it's all about the person and the individual, options that they want to play out.
Yeah, and one other question I'm seeing from our producer here. He says, "What's the meaning behind the name of your company?"
So my company is called STB, or Secure the Bag. I don't know if you can see. So Secure the Bag. And essentially what I like to do is, I'm a young guy, right? And a lot of people may look at me and go, hey, what do you do, young man? Especially, if you see me out, I drive a very expensive car, things like that. And people want to know, hey, are you a rapper? Are you a ball player? And I like to change the narrative. And this is why I kind of show these things off, because I want to actually change the narrative behind it. So I created Secure the Bag to kind of give that same thing, to say, hey, we can secure the bag at no matter what age you are, because I have 19-year-olds that are millionaires. No matter what, background you come from, you can do this as long as we put an education component behind it. And I want to change that narrative that it's not just NBA players, NFL players or entertainers that can make money like this. We too can do it by reading books, educating ourselves, and playing in the market.
Yeah, it's important for folks. I'm reminded of a little disclaimer. We are a news organization, the National Newspaper Publishers Association. We have all types of newsworthy developments, but we are not a registered investment, legal, or tax advisor or broker deal. The information provided today is based on our guest's personal experience, which has been phenomenal. Dr. Tues, I'm going to throw it over to you.
Well, thank you. Tay, could you comment about there are a number of African-American owned businesses in America. And even during the pandemic, particularly African-American women are starting businesses. So my question is, at what point, if you own a business, should you try to take your business public? If you look at the stock market, there are very few African-American owned companies that are publicly traded. Can you discuss that? That's what made Reginald Lewis so outstanding. He not only did a lot of leverage buyouts, but he had one of the top companies, TLC Beatrice, back in the day.
Absolutely. I definitely think that that's something we need to get into. Black businesses going public. There are not a lot on the public market right now. Something that I'm seeing is, and I guess I'll just kind of give a few, key advice tips for my business owners who may want to go public. Number one, you definitely have to find a nice group, a supporting cast, right? We need a supporting cast really in any business. If you want to be public or private, you need a supporting cast. So definitely, make sure you're reaching out to people who can help you with that. And as someone who could possibly help you, don't just reach out when you want something, right? Make sure you nourish your circle, right? Just see how they're doing. Check on them. Number two, we have to have our books together. That's something that I've seen. People come to me all the time with, ideas or possible investments, but the books are not together. And as an investor and someone who has the capital to invest, I want to make sure my money is going somewhere great. So make sure your books are together. Make sure everything is solid. So when you present this package to someone, you're good to go. And then number three, and which is probably the biggest thing, is make sure you have the funding behind it, which kind of goes with number two, having your books together. But make sure you have the capital it's not cheap to go public. So
very good. Well, that's a very good question. Thank you, and man, very good answer. Thank you, Trey.
Thank you.
And Tay, a couple of other questions from the audience. Gregory Muhammad is asking, can stocks help the formerly incarcerated?
Absolutely. This is one of my biggest things that I'm teaching people now is that, formerly and, some people may trade the stock market and get incarcerated, and you get out and your stocks have gone up, right? So yes, absolutely. This is one great way of doing things. So I would encourage you to learn the stock market. Anyone who's been, incarcerated, definitely.
And also one Facebook user is asking, are there any stocks on reverse mortgages? I guess that's an important question given what's going on in the real estate market today.
Absolutely. My strategy and what I focus on, I'm more tech heavy, so I don't get more into the reverse mortgages and things like that. But I almost guarantee you, if there's something out there right now, that's a good deal. So definitely do your research on it and see what you come up with. And hey, if it's a good deal, hit me up. I might want to get in.
Dr. Chavis, your closing thoughts with Tay Sweat.
Well, again, Brother Tay, you've shown by your example and by your stick-to-itiveness, your persistence. But throughout your presentation today on Let It Be Known, you've emphasized the importance of education. And education can be formal, it can be informal, or it can be self-education. I'm glad you gave out Investopedia. Are there any other sources that you want to share where people can educate themselves about the stock market?
Absolutely. Other than myself, what you can also do, YouTube is a great platform. Yeah, I definitely recommend YouTube. And then also check out Benzinga. BenzingaPro.com is a really good place. There are many places that you can go with these few. YouTube, myself. So like I said, I give a lot of free stuff out. And Benzinga, really good places to go.
Very good. Thank you for your leadership, man.
Thank you for having me. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Tay Sweat, everybody. Look him up and you'll find some more great information from him, particularly as it pertains to Wall Street, as it pertains to investing. We appreciate you, Tay. Join us again tomorrow for another edition of Let It Be Known at 7:30. We're with you Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. Eastern. You can count on us. And also on the weekends, you can get more Black news and information nationally at PBS TV and PBS World, where you can see the Chavis Chronicles starring Dr. Ben Chavis. Let it be known. Always remember, anyone who has ever made anything of importance, they were disciplined. We will see you tomorrow.